Night with Phee sailing through your...
Hello, boys and girls. We are here tonight for the old Phee Sportsball March Madness Sweet 16. Right here, we've got two panelists with us trying to have a little technical difficulties. Sir Isaac the Guru, he up in Northwest Arkansas. How you doing, Sir Isaac the Guru, joining the show?
I'm doing great, getting geared up for another one of my favorite weekends of the year, and coming off the lack of sleep and stress from the first weekend.
And Mr. President, all the way from the Northeast, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm wearing my Razorback red. I've got a Razorback on my collar. I'm calling the Hogs on my way home from work. I'm talking to colleagues about whether Arkansas or Arizona is going to win, including the colleague who has a kid at the University of Arizona. And I'm just excited for more great March Madness.
Isn't that what it's all about? A little banter before the college, all the way across the country, huh?
That's right.
Well, the March Madness is upon us. I tell you, Fee's brackets are out the dadgum window as unbelievable Virginia and another one of my great picks along the way got beat all in the same night, Kansas and Virginia. So Fee's out of it. Mr. President is rocking and rolling in his bracket. He is crushing it just like he did in fantasy football. And Sir Isaac the Guru, how are you doing in your March Madness bracket?
It's been pretty good. I am kind of floating around the top of all the groups I'm in, but not the best. But I do have my Final Four intact, I believe, unless I don't think I had Florida going, but I have my champion alive. I got my Final Four in good shape, so I'm hoping I can make a little bit of a late run and see if I can't win a couple bracket groups.
Well, you know, Fee tended to go from first to last in one single night. So let's get started, guys. As Sir William Smee will join us later, let's talk about these basketball games. Right off the bat, you've got 4 tonight. You've got 4 tomorrow, as the Sweet 16 will be down to the Elite 8. What do you guys think about Texas and Purdue? With Texas, Purdue, the line is Purdue minus the 8. What do you think, Sir Isaac the Guru?
Well, I'll tell you what. This is a clash of a couple conflicting ideas for me. Purdue has kind of a bad reputation here in the last decade of having some earlier exits than they hoped for, and lost to some double-digit seeds and all that fun stuff. And I typically am not a Purdue believer. However, I also have watched Texas play basketball this year, and they are playing really good. I'll give them credit, but Texas is not. They're not an Elite 8 team to me when I watch them play. So I believe it's going to be a real struggle for them. They have one of the worst three-point defenses in the country, and Purdue shoots the three ball really well. Texas also scores most of their points inside. So I'm kind of thinking that if Purdue plays like they have been, I don't know that Texas is going to be able to keep up. I think they kind of finally run out of their little bit of magic, and they might get whooped in this game.
Well, I watched more basketball in the last week than I have all year long, so I can tell you I've watched both of those teams play. What is your assessment, Mr. President, from the Northeast when it comes to a number 11 seed, Texas, out of the SEC, against the number 2 seed, Purdue Boilermakers, which is out of the, by the way, the Big Ten had a unbelievable out of 16 teams. Man, they had a lot of them from the Big Ten, didn't they?
Yes, the Big Ten is definitely looking like the dominant basketball conference right now, but we'll see what this round of games has to say about that. This will be revealing in that regard. Regarding Texas, I've been very impressed with them. It was a couple years ago where we had UCLA play in the play-in games and then go on a run itself. Texas is channeling that magic, but just like UCLA then, it's not really appropriate to call Texas a Cinderella. They are the University of Texas. They're the Longhorns. They're from the SEC. But I think they should be very proud of their season. They have a great center who has been showing up and drawing fouls and playing really tough basketball. But like Isaac said, I think that they're running into a team here that they don't necessarily match up well against. Purdue's point guard is setting assist records, and I think that he'll get a few more assists in this game. I'm taking Purdue to win and to cover.
All right, Mr. President's got Purdue minus the 8 to cover against SEC's Cinderella, Texas. I was telling Sir William Smee I could not believe that the 4 teams from the SEC that are still left is Alabama, Tennessee, Texas, and Arkansas.
We do have Will now, so Will, how do you think that the first game of the night, the Texas-Purdue game, is going to go?
I heard the back end of Drew's analysis there. I heard him pick Purdue, and I do expect Purdue to win. But I would think this is going to stay pretty close. I think Texas has found a little bit of a groove, and I also think they're playing with some swagger and some confidence that they weren't playing with earlier in the year. And they've got size with Vokatitis or Hepatitis, however you say his name. He's a problem in there, and even when he's not super efficient, he grabs a lot of rebounds and he makes everyone on the other team mad. They foul him a bunch and all that stuff. He's the kind of guy that kind of mucks up a game and can keep it interesting. So I think it's going to be close, but I'll take Purdue to win with Texas covering.
There you go, right there. You've got William the Great, the expert analysis of the Phee Sports Ball with Sir Isaac the Guru, stepping up and saying Texas will cover the 8, but Purdue will move forward into the Elite 8. I can tell you guys that I'm impressed with Texas, as I told William last night, but also I do think Purdue will win and Purdue will cover. They'll take the -8. Let's move on to the second 6 o'clock matchup tonight with the number 9 seed Iowa Hawkeyes against the number 4 seed, those white boys from Nebraska. Let's start with you, Sir Isaac the Guru.
Well, I do think we are going to. I think before the tournament started, we talked about Nebraska in their first couple rounds. I do think we're going to top the amount of white guys on the court in this game. And I think that I'm kind of, I don't want to claim that I've known a lot about this Iowa coach until this tournament, but I've kind of been learning a lot about him. Iowa has a coach that's done nothing but win everywhere he's been, and apparently he all their players are brought in from not major conferences. His point guards, I think, transferred with him from Drake. I mean, they're all guys that are not big recruits, and he's making them perform like a really good team. I think that says a lot about him as a coach. I will say that this probably won't be the most exciting game we get to watch this weekend. They like to play super slow, but I think I'm actually going to go with Nebraska to win the game. I think it'll be really close and really ugly, but I think that Nebraska just has a little bit more of a scoring ability than Iowa, and I think it'll be kind of like Iowa football, where they can hang around with people forever playing ugly games, but they finally kind of run out of that, the ability to win games with that, and I'm going to pick Nebraska.
Sir Isaac the Guru likes Nebraska by a bucket right there, minus the 1.5. Let's move it to Mr. President in the Northeast. You like those white boys from Iowa or those white boys from Nebraska?
Well, what flavor of white do I want to pick in this game?
Vanilla.
I think I'm going with Nebraska. You know, this is their first time winning games in the NCAA tournament. They got their first March Madness win in this tournament, and they're going to go all the way to the Elite Eight. Who knows? Maybe the Final Four. This could be Nebraska and a huge story for college basketball, making a Final Four in this tournament.
I like it.
Iowa was really impressive against Florida. It is easy to forget that they played poorly in the second half of that game and really let Florida storm back into it, where Florida should have been able to take control of the game. But give Iowa credit. If you let a team stick around like Florida did, Iowa can hit one shot to send themselves into the next round. That's how you get an upset. So I don't think that Iowa's going to have that same magic this week. A lot of times a team coming off a big upset will have a letdown game, and that's what I'm expecting here.
Mr. President also likes Nebraska by -1.5 against Iowa. Moving on to William the Great. What do you say, Mr. William?
Well, the first thought that came to my mind when we started talking about Iowa and Nebraska is there is no game of basketball in the history of the world that has ever been played that I've been more excited to be at an 81-year-old birthday party during the time that the game was going on. I mean, if I'm going to miss any basketball game, it's for Louise. Shout out to Louise. It's this game, Iowa and Nebraska. That's the one I want to miss. And the second thing that came to mind was when I was playing high school basketball, you know, here in Arkansas, played at Southside. We played against Malik Monk at Bentonville. We played it against, I think his name was Peyton Wilson at Fayetteville. We played at Vanderbilt. And then we played North Little Rock that had a couple guys that were just absolutely elite. Little Rock Central, college basketball players all over the place. But let me tell you, I got so excited when we played Little Rock Christian. There was just no feeling in the world like knowing we were about to go beat up on some white boys in Little Rock and just get our lick back. You know what I mean? Like get that game. After all these losses we've been taking, that was when I got up for it and just felt good all day long. I just don't know what it's like when Little Rock Christian plays Little Rock Christian, and I think that's what's happening today with Iowa versus Nebraska. It's like, what are these guys thinking? They're looking in the mirror and playing each other. It's fascinating what's going on tonight. And I'm so glad I'm not going to be able to watch it. But I will take Iowa in this game just because I like the colors.
All right. William the Great goes the opposite way with Iowa, +1.5. And yes, we do believe in that white boys can jump and they can play basketball. We are on the air, but as a majority of the population, normally you don't see 10 white boys on a basketball court at this level. And one of them is going to be into the Elite Eight right here tonight. I was thinking more of football when you start talking about Iowa and Nebraska, but I will also go with Iowa +1.5. I just don't think Nebraska has the magic. Just prove me wrong, Sir Isaac the Guru and Mr. President. We'll move on to the third game. You're the ones that you guys want to talk about the most. You got the Arkansas Razorbacks just one step away from the Elite Eight. They got to go the number 1 seed, the Arizona Wildcats. What do you say, Mr. President?
I'm so excited for this game. I'm proud of the Hogs and the season that they've had already. And tonight, it's going to be a battle of a bunch of great freshman guards. And it's going to depend on rebounds and free throws. Both teams are foul merchants. Arizona's big man has shot over 150 free throws this season. He's going to be looking for some more today. He's a high percentage free throw shooter. But our team as a whole is better shooting free throws than they are. I think if we can keep our fouls low while keeping our rebounding numbers competitive, I think that our guards will show up and show out against the number 1 seed on the biggest stage. And I don't care if I'm a homer or not, I'm taking the Hogs.
Woo, pig, suey. All right. William the Great, what do you have for some analysis tonight? I know you've been looking at that Arizona big man.
I sure have.
is a problem. Let me tell you, he's the one guy on that team whose height I think is going to bother us a little bit. But watching how they played Utah State gave me a little bit of hope of how we can beat Arizona tonight, and that is one of my keys for the Hogs to win the game, which is Trevor Brazile hitting multiple threes. I think if TV hits 2 or 3 threes tonight, we're in a really good position to win this game because their big man does not want to step out. He plays drop coverage a lot of the time, and he stays pretty deep in the lane. He doesn't want to get far out there and guard on the pick and roll. If we can force him either one, have TV hit some wide open threes, that's going to cause some problems for them. Or two, start to draw him out a little bit more. That's going to open up the lanes to the rim. The other things I was thinking were this team, you know, a lot has been said about their front court and how Arkansas hasn't fared well against big front court. This is a different kind of size outside of their big man that's 7'2". The rest of the team is really strong, but they're not super tall and they're not the most athletic vertically. We are, I think, significantly more athletic than them, speed and jumping. And I think tonight is going to be a battle between which athletic type wins out. Is it their strength on the boards, or is it our ability to get up higher than them for dunks, putbacks, rebounds? Is it our ability to get out in transition and, you know, kind of take their big man out of the game by being able to run before he can get back and get the defense set? There's a lot of fun ways we can go with this game, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be close. And during clutch time, there's been nobody better this year than Darius Acuff. So I'm going to take the Hogs to win, and I expect this special season and this special player story not to end in the Sweet 16, but to keep going forward. We'll see.
All right, Mr. President and William the Great both take Arkansas Razorbacks plus the 8.5 and want to win outright. We will go right to Sir Isaac the Guru, who has not slept a wink in the last week thinking about this game. Sir Isaac the Guru, go right ahead with your analysis.
I'll try to keep it as brief as I possibly can because I've gone back and forth with myself for the last 4 days. I think that at the end of the day, we have the better guards. I think we have the best guard in the tournament, and I think Darius Acuff, Malik Thomas, and Billy Richmond are better at the guard position. But I think Arizona has an advantage on their forwards and big guy. I keep trying to talk myself into thinking that I think we can win this game. It's Will and me talked about it earlier, and I think that he brought up something. He said there's been some other tournament matchups for us where you turn on the TV and you just look, and it feels like we're just genuinely outclassed. I don't think that is the case in this game. But Arizona is just kind of a scary squad. I was going over it, and their only 2 losses on the year were a 4-point loss at Kansas, which is notoriously one of the hardest places to play in the country, and a overtime loss by 3 against Texas Tech. There's 2 ways to look at that. One, we beat Texas Tech, and so by transitive property, you would think, you know, we can win the game. But the other way to look at that is 2 losses on an entire season, 34-2, and their 2 losses that they took were super tough, close games. So it's going to take our A-plus effort. I think we can give that. I do think that Darius Acuff has the ability, if the game is close, to win it for us. If we can avoid getting bullied inside, I think we have a chance. But it's going to require our best game, and we probably need them to not have their best game for us to move on. I'm going to take us to cover the spread, but I'm nervous about it.
We certainly understand why, as Arizona comes in as the number 1 seed for a reason. Them and Michigan look like the class of the tournament. They've played well all year, have a historic basketball program. They're back all the way with Lute Olson. And I can tell you now they've had some great athletes play at the University of Arizona. I think the University of Arkansas has a special backcourt with two freshman guards. I think Malik is probably overlooked a lot of the times because of Acuff's ability and with his angles to be able to be overlooked. But combined, if they score 50 points or plus a game combined, I believe that the University of Arkansas wins the basketball game. And so I'll also take the Razorbacks plus the 8.5, and let's get them running. And I like William the Great, as he said, draw that boy out and make him cover the three or shoot it all day because Brazil can have a great night. Let's move right on.
I completely agree.
Let's move
Hey,
right
can I
on.
say one more thing, if you don't mind, Dad?
No, not a problem whatsoever.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a lot has been made too. Arizona's a great team. They are, whatever, 32-2 or 30. They only lost 2 games this year. I know that. But a lot of the time, it's about who's playing the best basketball at the right time of the year, at the end of the year, in March. And since the beginning of February, both Arkansas and Arizona are 12-2. So I think that while clearly Arizona has had the better season, and by most metrics and by most, judgment and even the eye test, people would say Arizona's been the better team. But within those 4 lines, for 40 minutes or however long it takes tonight, who's the better team for that 40 minutes, for that time? And there's no reason that, I've got myself so hyped up, but there's no reason in my mind that it can't be Arkansas tonight. So, anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Mr. President, any other thoughts on the Razorback game?
I mean, I could talk this whole show about the Razorback game, and I want to ask y'all a question. And first, I guess I should say that was great analysis all around by all 3 of y'all. I'm very impressed and honored to be on this panel with greater basketball minds than me. But let me ask, what do you think it's going to take out of Acuff to win tonight? How many points are we expecting from him if we're going to pull out a win? If the headline is the Hogs win, how many points did Acuff have? What do we think?
I personally think that we could get away. I think that he could have a great game and a great performance by anything over 20. Obviously, I know that there's been some games this year where he has a heroic performance of, 30 whatever, upper 20s. I think, I'll say 25, but I think that he can make the right play, have 10 assists, 8, 9, 10 assists, play efficient, and score 20 to 25 points, and everyone else around him also play well for us to be able to get it done. I think, like Trevor Brazil hitting a couple threes, Malik Thomas hitting 3 or 4 threes, Billy Richmond finishing around the rim. I think that it's a combination. I think that we can play a great game with him having 20 to 25 personally. Will, what about you?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Drew, and I really like your analysis too, Isaac. I agree. I think it's hard to put a hard number on it because I think it kind of depends on how Arizona decides to guard him. There's a lot of different ways they could go in this game. Some of the greatest Warriors teams in this time we had, when they were at their peak, I love, thinking about the strategy that Steve Kerr would go into some of the games with. For example, against the Nuggets, a lot of the time when we were in a playoff series, they went with the thought process of let Jokic get his, but don't let him spray the ball out and get 15 assists. And so there were multiple games that Jokic scored 45 points on the Warriors and we won by 6 or something, at the end of the game, and the strategy worked. I think that would be the worst possible thing for Arkansas tonight is if Arizona decides that they're going to guard Acuff straight up, and pick and roll and, hope that they're big and block a couple of shots, but not help off too much because I actually think he gets going and the team gets going best when he's scoring well, but he's able to share the ball a lot. So to answer your question, I think it kind of depends on what Arizona does.
I think if they decide to let A-Cup go, he's going to need to have a 30-plus game, 30 or 35 points. If it's all about let him score but not let him pass. If they decide, we're going to try to double A-Cup or whatever, I think we're looking at a game where he could very well have 23 and 12 assists, and that win us the game. So I'm going to be watching for that as the game starts. How are they guarding him and what are their priorities? But I think we can win either way, but we just can't let them, dictate it all. He's got to either be able to facilitate or score, and I would prefer if he's able to do, a little bit of both. But that's probably not the answer you were looking for, but just my thought process going into it. Yeah, do you have any thoughts on this?
I believe that Acuff, the cream will rise to the top, that Acuff will rock and roll. He'll have 32 tonight, and he'll also be complimented by Brazil, that will have a great, great night. Billy Richmond will have a great night. I think Arkansas rolls because Malik Thomas, he's going to shoot the ball lights out. It's a lot about an assist, but the cream comes to the top. If the University of Arkansas moves on, it will be because of that point guard. He understands the pace. He understands the angles. He can get to the rim. He can get to the free throw line. I believe he has a great night. And to answer your question, he'll have 32 or more, Mr. President.
I like that prediction a lot. I like all the analysis again, and I guess if they do decide to guard him like you brought up, Will, what is our solution to that? My first thought was to just keep having them take it to the rack and hope that instead of their big guy getting blocked, we get him in foul trouble. That would be a great way to put us in an advantageous position later in the game if their big has got fouls early.
That's a great point. It will depend on how they guard him. If they're trying to get the ball out of his hands by trapping him and things like that, he's going to make the right play and find the open guy. But, traps are most likely going to come from screens. So if they see, early in the game that they're really hard hedging or trapping, they'll stop sending screens. They'll just say, 1-4 flat, when they want to get A-Cup an opportunity to get a bucket, and they'll make space for him, or they'll run through a couple of, kind of fake actions like they do, and have him, pop up at the top and grab the ball after they, run a couple of floppy actions or something, and then they'll get out the way and let him operate. So they've got a lot of ways to get him open, get him the ball, and allow him to score. I'm not really worried about him scoring less than 20. I think that he pretty much rolls out of bed and does that. The most important, factor to Arkansas winning basketball games throughout this year, probably the easiest stat to say, did they win or did they lose, is did they get 20 assists or not? And when we've had 20 assists, we've won. If they had less than that, is when we've lost some games. So, but yes, they'll find a way to get him the ball, no matter how they guard him, and give him opportunities to score. And I love the idea of attacking that big. I think if we can make him run up and down the court and get him into some foul trouble, then we can give him a lot of issues.
I totally agree. Sir Isaac, anything else?
No, that's I can't think about it anymore until game time.
Well, very in-depth analysis from all panelists. I can tell you what, very versed, well-educated, know the game well, breaks it down very, very special to the viewers to be able to understand it. And I can tell you right now, we're going right to the next game where the University of Houston, the 2 seed, plays against another one of those big team schools, the big number 3 seed, the Illinois Fighting Illini. What do you say, Sir Isaac Guru?
I think this game has the potential to make me look worse than any other game of this weekend, because I am so confident in the fact that I like Houston in this game that normally that means that it's going to go the other way. But I think, first of all, this should be an extremely fun game. I'm actually really, really looking forward to this. I hate that it's going to be going on while ours is, too. But Illinois and Bama are super similar in the fact that they just are explosive on offense when they're making shots. They can both absolutely light it up. I think that Houston has a special level of physicality and toughness and hustle that I like the way that looks against those teams. They're obviously a great defensive team in like every single category. Good rebounding team. They turn people over a lot, and they don't turn the ball over a lot. This year, as opposed to past years, they actually have added a little bit more offense. It feels like they've added a guy every single year, and this year is their best offensive team that they've had since this run that they've gone on of tournament runs. But if Illinois shows up and hits all their shots, then obviously they're going to be hard to keep up with. But I just think that they're a little bit more of a flashy, explosive on offense team. But I don't know that they're. I don't know how they're going to be able to handle the toughness of Houston. So I love Houston to cover in this game. I think that it's going to be a rough night. The game is also in Houston, which is a crazy, advantage. But I think I'm going to rock with Houston.
You hear it right here on the Phee Sports Ball with Sir Isaac the Guru. His best bet of the night, the Houston Cougars playing at home minus the 3 against a hot shooting Fighting Illini of Illinois. Well, what do you think, William the Great? Mr. President.
You there, Will? Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Go ahead, William. We got you.
Sorry, guys.
We're talking about Illinois and against, if you didn't hear, Illinois is playing Houston. Houston minus the 3.
Yeah. I heard Sir Isaac the Guru's analysis. I really agree. Man, this game, it feels like it should be a Houston game, but for whatever reason, in the back of my head, I'm just like, why do I think that Illinois could score 100 and just like make me look really down? And part of the reason is this Illinois offense is as good as anyone in the country. And the other thing that's kind of like just a weird outlier in this game is they're so big. Like they've got multiple guys that are like 6'10", 7'1", 7'2", and they've got a couple of freshmen that are just really, really talented. So I'm fascinated with the Illinois team, but I am amazed by the consistency of Kelvin Sampson and the Houston Cougars. And I love that they're playing in Houston, or it's basically a home game for Houston. And I think the defense is going to win out in that game tonight. So I'm taking Houston. But, man, this game has the potential to have fireworks.
Wow. They sound a little nervy to Phee tonight here with the Houston Cougars minus the 3 against Illinois. What do you think, Mr. President?
Well, I was so confident that Houston was going to win, but then I heard the nerves in Isaac's and Will's voice.
Yes.
And you know what? I'm taking Illinois.
Ah.
It's the year of the I, baby. Indiana wins the national championship in football. And I'm going to say Illinois makes the Elite Eight in basketball. It's the year of the I.
Wow. He didn't go with Iowa, did he? Okay, well, he picks Illinois. I have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you're in Houston. Houston's the better team, minus 3. But those boys sound scared. After saying the best bet for Sir Isaac, I agree with him. I think it's a mortal lock. What I would tell you is play the Houston Cougars minus the 3. And if Illinois shoots 65% and beats you, they just shoot 65% from threes and beat you. Because Houston's got the better overall team. Well, that's tonight's. We've got the next 4 matchups of the Sweet 16 tomorrow. Let's move right along to that as the St. John's Red Storm will be at the Duke Blue Devils, the number 1 seed Duke minus the 6.5. Let's go, Mr. President.
Well, I have to say that the youth pastor at my church went to St. John's and is the biggest St. John's fan you'll ever meet. And because I appreciate all of the good shepherding and work that he has done, or that the Lord has done through him, I'm picking St. John's for no other reason but to support my youth pastor, and nobody can criticize me for that, right, guys?
Absolutely. And let me just tell you something. Chris Mullen, back in the day, St. John's was a force in the Big East when I was back in college. And I think if you don't have a dog in the fight, son, why shouldn't you support the folks that support you and the some folks that you love and care about?
That's right, Daddy. Well said.
All right. Well, you've got here Mr. President getting the plus points against the number one seed. He likes St. John's plus the 6.5. We'll move right on to William the Great. What do you have, William? Duke minus the 6.5 or St. John's?
Well, I have notoriously this tournament kind of dog Duke and said I don't believe they're going to go far, but I just happen to believe they're going to make it one more round before they lose. I'm going to take Duke and believe they'll cover. I don't believe in St. John's. I don't think they can shoot. And I don't think this is a team that's able to knock off Duke, but I won't take Duke anymore, no matter who they play, Michigan State or UConn. This is the last game that Duke will win the tournament. And I'm going to have to go because I'm going to go celebrate Mary Louise's birthday during the Iowa and Nebraska game. But I'm going to text the rest of my picks to Drew and Isaac so they can read them off to you guys. But it's been an absolute honor. Go Hogs, and I really enjoyed this time with you guys. I hope y'all have a good rest of your night.
Thank you so much. Right here, folks, is Mr. President picks. I have to tell you, St. John's plus the 6.5. Sir Isaac the Guru is yet to pick, but William the Great, before he left, he picks Duke minus the 6.5. I do appreciate every time that they are on. They make me happy and I full of joy. And I just love that they spend the time to come on and talk sports with their daddy and Sir Isaac Guru, who is a part of our family and has been for so long. So thank you guys also. Sir Isaac the Guru, you want to go ahead and put the icing on the top with Duke minus the 6.5, or you like St. John's as the underdog?
Well, I will say I'm happy that Drew said what he did about the pastor at his church because I was kind of looking for something to tip me over the edge on one side or the other, and I'm glad to know that because I do think that there is really no one on the planet better at handling heartbreak than a faithful and strong believer in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because those people find their identity in Him over sports. So I am glad that he is going to be the one that's going to have to go endure this terrible loss because no one else could do it better. And
nobody else.
St. John's is, they're like Houston before Houston evolved with some offense. They're super scrappy on defense. They play super hard. They're tough, and that will be consistent in every game they play. They really, even in that last game against Kansas, which I will tell you, in the first half of that game, I think Kansas was the worst basketball team I've watched this entire year. I've never seen a team that's supposed to be that good not be able to inbound the basketball. I felt like I was having flashbacks to sixth grade boys club games. It was kind of unbelievable. St. John's is a really good defensive team, but they go on these stretches every single game on offense where they just cannot put the ball in the bucket. It happens every game. That's how we were able to beat them last year. It just, as good a defense as they play, they can't keep up with somebody if the game demands it. So I think that Duke is also a really good defensive team. They have the number one defensive efficiency rating in the country. I think that it'll be kind of a rough, banging around game, but I think that Duke just kind of slowly as the game goes on will be able to chip away, getting a bucket lead here, couple buckets here, and I think by the end of it, St. John's will just go through a stretch at some point that kind of kills them. I also will say that game is, if you like watching centers play basketball, that is going to be a blast to watch. Zuby Ejiofor for uh, St. John's, Zuby Dooby Doo, and Cam Boozer at Duke, because two super skilled big guys that will both be going to work in the post. That'll be a fun matchup. But I got Duke to cover. I think it's a little alarming that the spread's that big, and I think that makes me more inclined to be on the Duke side because I feel like they're trying to play tricks on me. And Phil knows that I am a sucker for being with the public. But in this case, I'm rocking with Duke to cover and looking forward to watching it.
All right. Well, you hear it tomorrow night. You'll find that the number 1 seed Duke Blue Devils, as Phee grew up a Blue Devil, and the St. John's Red Storm will number 5 seed will play Duke minus 6.5. You've got William the Great and Sir Isaac the Guru picking the Blue Devils of Duke. You have Mr. President and Phee picking St. John's plus the 6.5, as I do believe Duke will win in a close one tomorrow night. All right, guys, you got the number 1 seed Michigan. Looks like nobody can beat them, the best team in the country, against the number 4 seed Alabama, that's had all kinds of turmoil with a gentleman that was eliminated from their team. You've got Michigan minus the 8.5. What do you think, Sir Isaac the Guru, about the Michigan Wolverines?
I think that this is almost a copy and paste of the Illinois-Houston game, in the fact that Alabama, really explosive offense, shoot a lot of threes, and they have been hitting them so far in this tournament, especially last round. It was kind of an insane game to watch. But they haven't been too challenged yet with – they've had a very easy run to where they are right now. Texas Tech's best player has been out. They ran into a Texas Tech team that was not the same team they were a couple months ago. Hofstra obviously hung around for a minute, but that didn't end up being super close. But they are about to run into a Michigan team that has been a juggernaut this season. And not only have they been a good team, they are very large and they play really good, hard defense. I think Alabama is going to be just genuinely outmatched so much inside the 3-point line that I think I might, because I don't like Alabama and I don't really like the way they play in the tournament, I might take an alternate line to bet Michigan to win by 15. I think that Alabama doesn't play defense at all, especially on the interior, and I think that Michigan could literally throw the ball to one of their 7 big guys any given play and score whenever they want. So I love Michigan in this game, but like Phil said earlier, if a team goes off and shoots 60% from 3, you can't really do much about it. I just can't see that happening in this game, so I got Michigan to cover.
All right, a big line there for you, Sir Isaac the Guru, at minus 8.5, but I do believe you believe in those Michigan Wolverines. Mr. President, what do you think about that game? Michigan minus the 8.5.
Well, let me give you a little oral history of the tournament so far. Last Thursday, Michigan beat Howard 101 to 80. They scored 101 points. Okay. Then last Saturday, Michigan beat St. Louis 95 to 72. They scored 95 points. Okay, now they're playing Alabama, the Crimson Tide. I think they're going to split the difference between that 101 and 95. I think they're going to score 98 and blow Alabama out of the water.
What a prediction right there. I totally love that analysis from Mr. President, as he thinks a big win, the best bet for Mr. President tonight. Take the Wolverines minus the 8.5, as they'll score 98 tonight, and Alabama will be going back to Tuscaloosa. Well, I can tell you, folks, we're moving down to the Michigan State-UConn game, the number 2 seed UConn Huskies against the Michigan State Spartans. You've got a game here where it's a less than a bucket. UConn minus the 1.5. What do you think about that, Sir Isaac, the Guru?
I think that UConn, while they have been a great team and he is a great coach, obviously back-to-back national championships, Dan Hurley is constantly pumping out good teams. However, something about watching them this year seems a little bit. It's like they don't have the guys to be scared of that they've had. Their point guard, first of all, great, one of the greatest names in college basketball, Solo Ball. I almost hope that LeVar Ball adopts him if his parents would be okay with that, just so he can join the family of LiAngelo, LaMelo, Lonzo, and Solo. But I he's been kind of a vanishing act so far in the tournament. They've had their big man. He's been there for 17 years, Caravan. He's been playing really well, but they just seem a little. It's something's different about that team than their runs in the past. I also love me some Tom Izzo. I mean, I just respect the heck out of that dude. He has one of the craziest tournament records of any coach ever. I think he's made to the Sweet 16 in half of the years that he's coached. That team plays super hard. We got to see it firsthand when Arkansas played them. They've done it throughout the course of the year. They've kind of they struggle a little bit on offense occasionally, but they play like some absolute dogs. And I am going to root for Tom Izzo to beat UConn. I think they win outright. I also think that the amount of yelling that occurs from both sides at refs in that game might break any type of record of that may exist. But I got Michigan State winning outright.
The underdog, Michigan State, plus the 1.5 with the legend Tom Izzo. He's been there so long that I was their age when he started, and he had some great teams back even into the 80s and 90s. So I can tell you he's been there quite some time. Well, Mr. President, up there in the Northeast, I know you know a lot about UConn basketball. Are they living on their tradition this year? Are they overhyped? Are they just like they always are up in the Northeast? The number 2 seeded UConn Huskies playing the old Michigan State Spartans. UConn minus the 1.5. Mr. President, your analysis.
Well, no disrespect to UConn, but I do think they're a little overhyped this year. And for anyone who doesn't believe in St. John's whipped up on UConn twice this year. And I don't think it's going to reach the opportunity for a third time. I am a little bit of a hypocrite here because I did say that Michigan State was primed to have an early exit in this tournament, but that was before the brackets came out. Okay.
Yes.
So I didn't know that Michigan State was going to have such an easy road to get to this point. I didn't know they were going to be playing an injured Louisville team. So I mean, we're all hypocrites if you push us far enough. But I am going to be a hypocrite here and take Michigan State to win.
He's jumping on the bandwagon of Michigan State because of the bracket of, when you get in a tournament, it has a lot to do with the draw and a lot about the journey getting from bracket to bracket, seed to seed, and step to step. So I can tell you right now, Michigan State has had an easy road this far, and Michigan State is the underdog here for a reason, and UConn right there playing all the time. How does UConn always get to play always close to their home? I just don't understand that. The UConn Huskies minus 1.5. You got to roll with Michigan State. Time Izzo if you're Phee Smee. Plus 1.5 Michigan State. What do you boys think about that?
I like it. I also was about to say, I think it's worth taking just a second to appreciate the amount of legendary coaches that are going to be in that region.
Yes.
Obviously, Coach K is not coaching Duke anymore, but he will undoubtedly be there. and just such a good program. St. John's, obviously, in Patino, Michigan State Tom Izzo, and even though he drives me absolutely insane, you can't take away from what Dan Hurley has done. It's just a crazy region of those teams, those programs, those coaches. I heard the other day that the ticket price for that regional is like outrageous, and I deservedly so. That's a special couple games, and will be a special game. Whoever matches up against each other on Saturday. But yeah, just kind of crazy to see those names all together.
I agree with you totally. Legendary, especially up there. College basketball means something to those Big East Conference and those ACC people up in the Northeast, doesn't it, Drew?
It absolutely does. Absolutely.
And St. John's being good in basketball makes the New York City happy, happy, happy. That's an exciting time, an exciting matchup with some great coaches and some really great programs over the years. But Michigan State, I do believe, wins that game. Sir Isaac the Guru, he thinks Michigan State's going to win the game. And Mr. President, he thinks that UConn is overhyped, and then Michigan State's going to win the game. So we're in the Spartan family at least for Friday night. And I totally agree with you also, Mr. President. Michigan State doesn't have the team to go to the Final Four. They've had an easy road, but I do think that UConn is overhyped.
I completely agree with you. And, either one of these teams could win this game, and I think either one of these teams will lose in the next round.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, too.
I agree with that as well.
Yep. Well, let's move right on to the Tennessee Volunteers, the number 6 seed, where everybody talks about Rick Barnes always loses in the tournament. Well, he hadn't done so lately. He's been winning and been advancing into the tournament for the last 3 or 4 years. So now this year, number 6 seed Tennessee plus 3.5 against the number 2 seed out of the Big 12, the Iowa State Cyclones. The Big 12 with Houston and Arizona and Iowa State, I think they're a pretty good basketball conference. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, it's. I think coming into the tournament, it seemed obviously now the Big Ten has kind of pulled ahead as far as teams left, but coming into the tournament, I think it seemed like the Big 12 was the conference to be reckoned with. Definitely have some good teams over there, and I think that it's weird to me that Iowa State manages to be good so consistently. It doesn't make a ton of sense, but they sure do. And yeah, they've got some really good teams, and that's listing off all those teams and Kansas already being out is also crazy because that's another team you would normally expect to be up there.
I totally agree. And you got the Tennessee team that lately's been playing plus the 3.5 against Iowa State. Every time I watch Iowa State play, Mr. President, it looks like to me that they're going to lose, and then they hit 2 spurts and they're winning by 15. So, what do you think about the Iowa State Cyclones minus 3.5 against the SEC's Tennessee Volunteers?
This is a really hard game for me to pick because it really, to me, comes down to Iowa State's one of their best players, their forward, Jefferson, who's hurt and who is apparently a day-to-day game time decision. If he's out, I kind of want to lean towards Tennessee here, and maybe I should do that anyway. But overall, I do think that Iowa State's the better team. So I'm having a really tough time with this one. Just for fun, I'm going to take Tennessee. But boy, if they say he's back and he's, even 75% of what he is supposed to be, then I think Iowa State's going to win.
All right, Mr. President's got Iowa State minus the 3.5 or Tennessee plus the 3.5.
I'll take Tennessee, and then I'll be made to look really dumb when everyone's healthy in Iowa State and they just blow them out of the water.
No, I can tell you, anytime there's any kind of indecision, always take the plus points. Always take the underdog. If you think it's even matchup, you can't choose it. Always take the points. So that's a smart analysis and a smart way to look at it. Sir Isaac the Guru, blowout by Iowa State, or is Tennessee going to roll?
I'm gonna be honest, Drew. I agree with Drew what he said at the beginning. I think this is I think between Iowa and Nebraska or this game, this is the hardest game for me to have a opinion on. For some reason, I have this permanent thing in my head where I don't have the stats to back this up. I can't tell you the official facts, but it feels like in the past, I don't know, 5, 6 years, I always find myself thinking Iowa State is going to go far in the tournament, and I always end up overestimating what they're going to do. It's like it feels like I always pick them going to the Final Four, and then they're never there. Could just be a random, not correct feeling I have, but I can't shake it. But on the other side, Tennessee is not super consistent. Their feature player has kind of been really, really disappointing in the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament. He had back-to-back games where he was a combined 1 for 16 from the field. Nate Ament is who I'm referring to, and I think maybe I don't know if it's the postseason nerves or if he's dealing with injury. I don't know what it is, but he seems to be not playing really well. And obviously Iowa State has its injury too. So, I mean, yeah, I literally might grab a quarter and flip it to see who I think wins this game. I'm gonna go with let me go Tennessee just for the value of it and being an underdog. I'll root for Tennessee to cover. But man, that game could genuinely go any direction. Super, super tough game to call.
Anytime you got to pick a game, you wouldn't play the game. You just pick it for and give some good analysis on it. You're going to take the underdog plus the points. It seems like the panel believes, as I do, that it's a toss-up game. Whoever shoots the ball best, whoever turns the ball over the least, whoever rebounds it the best, whoever makes the free throws. It goes down to fundamentals. I believe Iowa State tonight gets it done. I believe they move on minus the 3.5. But I don't believe. I just believe, just like Sir Isaac the Guru, that every time that you expect them to go far, they always seem to get beat. So I expect them to get beat in the Elite Eight. It's kind of like I expect the Iowa and Nebraskas to get. There's some easy roads there. The Razorbacks got to get past Arizona in order for it to get easier at that point. And then if Purdue is the team that everybody thinks they are, they don't have an easy road either. So that concludes the Thursday and the Fridays with the 8 games. We're going to move on to what we believe will be the matchups. Not going to do the lines, just going to pick the winners of those as Duke, St. John's. Who you got? Go moving on. We'll play Michigan State, UConn. Of that matchup, moving on to the Saturday, based on who you have, who do you think will win that and get into the Final Four?
I think Duke goes to the Final Four. Will made a comment earlier, and I kind of agree with him. I've actually been kind of trying to find the team to beat Duke, but I think their draw has worked out well.
You don't think St. John's, Michigan State, or UConn can beat Duke? Do you think, Mr. President, that they can? Because I agree with Sir Isaac. I do not believe there's another team in that bracket that can beat Duke. So tell me who it is. Because Sir Isaac, the Guru, and I believe we'll also agree that they've got an easy road there.
I think logic would tell you that Duke's going to be in the Final Four and win that division. I think that a region of the bracket. I think that emotion and religion will tell you that St. John's will be there. So that's what I'm taking.
All right, there's your upset with St. John's. Sir Isaac, the Guru, what do you think about those matchup, Duke, Michigan State, UConn?
I mean, I think Duke, Michigan State would be a blast to see play each other, just because obviously the histories of the programs. What Drew said is true. On paper, by logic, no one should be able to beat Duke. But obviously, if that was how everything worked, then it'd be really easy to pick games. But I think I think that I just can't see. I can't see it. I mean, anything can happen. Obviously, they're a little injured as well.
You
But
you
I
do
think
know
that
you do know that after Sunday's over with, that if UConn, Michigan State, St. John's, or Duke end up there, that it won't be a big deal with that 1, 2, 3, and 5 seed. But overall, looking, you're still trying to figure out a way it's not going to be Duke.
yeah, it's definitely not a. Once you start getting into these later rounds, you're not. You're talking about all good teams. So it's not a matter of, I think Duke should head above heels better than these guys. I think those other teams, other than UConn, but UConn just has been weird. I think that they have just less limitations than those other teams. I already talked about St. John's. I like watching them, but they just super limited on offense. Michigan State's kind of the same way. And then UConn just uh, they just have been weird. But I think Duke has the advantage in all of those matchups. But there's been a lot of years I could have said that exact same thing. I remember the team with Zion Williamson and R.J. Barrett. They had like one of the craziest analytical teams in the history of basketball, and they got beat. I mean, they've had great teams, and they've got beat. So it feels foolish thinking that, but that's just how I feel about it.
Well, if you move down, you got Iowa, Nebraska, and Illinois and Houston in that bracket. It looks like to me everybody's thinking it's just Houston all the way to the Final Four like they do Duke. What do you think, Mr. President?
I think that would make sense. I mean, I did say it was the year of the eye, so that would contradict me there. But if I'm going to take a hypocritical outsider perspective of the Final Four, I don't think it's going to be 3 1s and then Houston at 2. I think there'll probably be at least one more upset in there of a 1 seed. Now I hope that that's the Hogs beating Arizona. We've got 2 1s, a 2, and a 4. But the history of the tournament and the stats will tell you that you're going to have multiple 1 seeds in there. So for this picking, I'm going to say Houston, and contradict my year of the eye take. But that's more because I'm taking a macro viewpoint, not knowing the hypothetical matchup in the next round.
Absolutely, yeah. You're just basically we're just looking at the matchups, and if Illinois beats Houston, you're not going to be surprised. You said it was going to be the year of the eye with Indiana winning in the football, and now Illinois going all the way in the March Madness National Championship. But when you look at that bracket, just say it out loud: Iowa, Nebraska, Illinois, and then Houston. It just for me, from a surface level, it just looks like an easy road to Houston. What do you think, Sir Isaac?
I think that I feel comfortable saying that the winner of Houston, Illinois, will advance to the Final Four. I think that both of those teams kind of outclass Iowa and Nebraska, and I like Iowa and Nebraska. I think it's fun to root for them. But if Illinois has the confidence and the ability to get past Houston, I believe that neither one of those teams is going to keep them from moving on. So I want to say Houston. I've been talking highly of Houston for a while. I have them winning my bracket. I think that Kelvin Sampson every single year has got that team just a little bit better, just year by year. They came onto the scene. They started making tournament runs, but they would run out of offense. Then he started kind of adding pieces here and there, and it just seems like every single season they get a little bit better at the things they need to, and it feels like this is the best, well-rounded team that he's had. And I just really like them advancing to the Final Four.
Houston Cougars, you've been a big fan basketball wise all year of them. I'm glad you picked them in the tournament. That's what I told William the Great I should have done. I said I should have picked Houston. I just didn't watch enough basketball, and when I saw Virginia play, I thought nobody else would pick Virginia, and they looked really really good against Duke. And so well, let's move into what I think is the hardest bracket with Arizona, Arkansas, Texas, Purdue. Three of those four teams, you would think Arizona, Arkansas, or Purdue would be in that matchup, as people would discount Texas. But if Arizona beats the Razorbacks, you're looking at a Arizona Purdue matchup possibly, or an Arkansas Purdue matchup. Mr. President, what do you think of those four, and how would you group them, and what do you think about the matchups? Mm.
I'm
Jump,
taking the Hogs.
you'll take the Hogs, huh?
Taking the Hogs.
All right, against Purdue or against Texas?
Oh, against Purdue or Texas? I think it's going to be Purdue. I think we're going to have to be 1-2 back to back, and then we'll face up against Michigan. That's to spoil my next pick, but that's going to be the gauntlet that we're going to have to run through if we want to make all the way to the championship game.
And Mr. President, if Arizona beats the Razorbacks, do you think they'll advance to the Final Four, or do you think Purdue would?
Well, Arizona would never beat the Razorbacks. How dare you even ask that question? But
We're talking possibilities.
If Arizona does, it's outside the realm of possibility. We should not even consider it.
Okay.
But if by some miracle the Wildcats pull out a win tonight, then I think they're going all the way to the championship. Well, no, I think they're going to the Final Four to play against Michigan.
There you go. Okay. What do you think, Sir Isaac, the guru of that Texas, Purdue, Arizona, Arkansas bracket going to the Final Four?
I think the exact same thing as that Houston Illinois matchup, which is I think that the winner of the Arkansas Arizona matchup will be in the Final Four. Purdue has been playing good basketball and they are on a good run. But if Arizona matches up against them, I think that they even significantly more than us kind of tower over Purdue. Purdue is not a super big, strong team, and I think that they would not struggle with that. I think if we meet up with Purdue, their point guard, who is setting a bunch of assist records because he decided to stay in college for 26 years, Darius Acuff is everything that he has aspired to be his entire life, and he hasn't got there in the 7 seasons he's played. Darius Acuff's already there. So I think that if we play Purdue, we would beat them as well. So unfortunately, I think it's going to be Arizona in Arizona moving on. But I think if we can take down Arizona tonight, we'll be in the Final Four.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Arkansas to the Final Four for everybody's heart. Sir Isaac the Guru thinks that it'll be Arizona's. Mr. President would also agree that if it's not Arkansas, it will be Arizona. Both Arizona and Purdue in the history of college basketball this time of year that can choke real easy, folks. I've seen it many, many times, years and years and years of it. When they're supposed to be good, they normally choke along the way. So it always pains me to say that Arizona would be in the Final Four or that Purdue would be in the Final Four. But I'll just go ahead and tell you that the University of Arkansas will be in the Final Four this year. They will play Purdue, and I hope they both beat Arizona tonight and Purdue the next game by 15 to 20 points. Remember, the University of Arkansas has been playing every single game close. Every game, 3, 5 points. When they all put it together with the athletes that Coach Cal has brought into here with that point guard and that shooting guard, that freshman backcourt will be one of the best that this nation's seen in a long time. They will continue to score over 50 points in the next 2 matchups. The Razorbacks have the best backcourt in America. They're freshmen, they're growing, they're learning, and all I can tell you is they're going all the way to the Final Four. Now, we're going to get into that Michigan bracket. Michigan, Alabama, Tennessee, Iowa State. Again, looking at it, you would just think it's an easy road for Michigan to go to the Final Four. Mr. President?
And it is. And Michigan's going to be averaging over 95 points when they make it to the Final Four. Book it.
Fantastic. We'll be talking about Michigan then matching up against Arkansas in the Final Four next week, or Arizona. Sir Isaac the Guru, will you talk about the Michigan Wolverines with their only 2 losses, a quality basketball program? Can Iowa State or Tennessee hang with them?
Iowa State may be able to make it a game, but I think the only chance Iowa State or Tennessee have is Michigan losing to. Michigan has to catch Bama on a hot night, and Bama has to shoot the lights out. And if Bama can knock down Michigan, then I think that I would take either of those other 2 teams over Bama. I think Tennessee or Iowa State. But if Michigan gets through this first game, I don't see it. I think they do have a pretty easy road. But the scary thing, as much as I talk bad about them, the scary thing about those 3-point shooting teams is it don't matter who you are. If they're hitting their shots, have fun because it's obviously the basketball has moved. Thanks to Steph Curry, basketball has moved in the direction of the analytics say 3 is more than 2, and if you're hitting threes, it's really hard to keep up. So I think that's Michigan's best chance of being knocked off this weekend.
I totally agree, man. It's March Madness. Anything can happen, any single game. That's why they play them. They wouldn't be there if they weren't a quality basketball program. That's where stories are made. That's where history's made. That's where memories are made. That's why we watch, folks. All we're doing is giving our opinions. We love to. We love each other. We're having a great time here at the Phee Smee Network with Phee Sports Ball with Sir Isaac the Guru and Mr. President. I can tell you, thank you guys so much for being on the panel today. And do you have any final things to say about March Madness and what's going to happen and transpire in the next few days?
I do not. I'm just really looking forward to watching games. It's going too fast for me. I enjoy these few weeks so much. It's been a blast. I am looking forward to a lot of quality matchups over the next 4 days, and just going to enjoy it, not take it for granted, and yeah, that's all I got.
All right, Sir Isaac. Mr. President, any last words?
Every year that you're alive and can see a new March Madness tournament, it's another good year, and we should all be thankful.
Amen.
I'm certainly thankful, and even though I made a lot of picks, mostly using my intellect, however small it may be, I am going to be rooting with my heart. And so, for example, Texas is winning right now against Purdue, even though I predict Purdue to win and cover. You know I'm rooting for Texas because I want Arkansas, if they happen to be those Wildcats, to be playing against Texas for a chance to go to the Final Four. I'll be rooting for every upset, every crazy last-second shot. I'll be rooting for all the madness that March promises, and I hope that you guys both will too. Thanks again for having me on the show. I had a great time.
Thank you, guys. Love you, and thank you guys for tuning in to the Phee Sports Ball with Sir Isaac the Guru and Mr. President. Remember, no matter what you're doing, you're missing something. So let's make what we're doing worth what we're missing. God bless you.